Okay, hey guys, welcome to the first lecture for CS 124 Honors. Today we're going to be covering BASH, which stands for Born Again Shell. And before we get started, just a couple of announcements. First is welcome to the class. Let's go. A couple of things to do in case you haven't already is number one, join our Prairie Learn class. Here is the name for that. Number two is to turn on Discord notifications. A lot of our announcements, or all of our announcements, will be there, so we don't want you to kind of miss out in case something important happens. The third one is to rename your Discord server username to the format first name and then followed by the parentheses net ID. And then the fourth one is to fill out our enrollment form. And in terms of homework, the first homework will be released today. It's going to kind of just go over some topics that we're going to be covering in this lecture. And in case you guys need help, we will be holding office hours starting tomorrow to February 19th on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and then 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Cool. So, what is Bash? Well, this is the very kind of formal definition. It is a text only interface used for controlling Unix based operating systems. And you don't really have to know what any of this means. Basically, it's just a standardized way to interact with your computer using only text. And what I mean by that is typically we kind of interact with our computer using this sort of graphical user interface. So, if I wanted to, I don't know, go into folder one, for example, I would, click on folder one. But using the text only interface, I enter a command in and then the computer will go into that folder for me. So it's just another way to interact with your computer. Why learn Bash? This is definitely something that I was like, why do I have to know this when I first learned it too? It's just a very standardized way of interacting with your computer, and it allows you to do some things that you may not have the ability to otherwise. And we're going to learn about one of these commands that you won't be able to do normally. It allows you to control your computer like a developer, basically just sort of like write text in order to control your computer to do things, which is typically what we do in programming class. And it will be used a lot when we learn GitHub in the future. So it's going to be very helpful for the lectures on ahead. Do I need to set up Bash? This is actually really depends on like what kind of machine you have. So what you have to do is just pull up terminal. For me, since I'm on Mac, I just typed in terminal into the search button and then pulled it up. If you are on Windows, it will probably be the same kind of process. You can also just Google to find out how to pull up this terminal. But what you do is just call switch and then shell. And as you can see, for me, I have the bin.bash, so I don't have to actually do anything to get it installed. And this is probably going to be the case for you if you are either on Linux or pre-Catalina Mac. And honestly, same with post-Catalina or post-Catalina, just Catalina. For our purposes, the ZHS shell is going to like work well, so you don't have to really download anything. If you're on Windows, it might be a different story, but all you have to do is just follow this link and then follow the installation process detailed there. Okay, so some commands, and this is sort of like the meat of our lecture. This is how we're going to instruct the computer to do different things. Some terminology before we dive right in is sort of, I'm going to be referring to a folder as a directory. This is just, what I'm going to do. And then for terminal, that's where we're going to type in our commands. So in this case, it's here. It's where you typed in which, and then shell just to find out if you have bash installed. And on Mac, that you access it by just doing the search button and then typing in terminal. So just to help you guys like visualize what is going on, here's our current file structure. Currently, I am in the CS124H folder. You might be, I don't know, in your home folder probably. And inside of this folder, I've just created two files. So folder one or folders. So folder one, folder two. Inside of there, I created folder three, and then inside of folder three, I have a hi.txt. So just to kind of show you guys, you'll learn these commands later, but ls I have two folders, so there's like folder one, folder two, and then if I go into folder one, so like cd folder one, you'll see that there's folder three, and then inside of folder three there should be a hi.txt file. Great. Okay, and then here's just sort of like an interface that you might see if you're interacting with your computer using the graphical user interface. As you can see, we're inside CS124H right now, and there are two folders. Okay, I'm gonna clear this up. Cool. So the first command is echo, and this is kind of parallel to what you learned probably in 124 the first week, which is system.out.println hello world, just to print out something. The way to do this in Bash is to do echo and then hello world, or like whatever kind of text you want to put in, and Bash will just echo it back to you. You can just type in like whatever text you want. Oops. Okay, let's try that again. Like this. It will just echo it back. So simple as that. Second one is to print your working directories. This is PWD, and it will print out kind of where you are at. So if I type this in currently, you'll see that I'm inside my desktop folder. Inside my desktop is a directory called school, and then I'm currently in the CS124H, which is basically what I meant to show in this picture. And the next command, which you have probably seen me do earlier, is change directory, and we just abbreviate this to CD. And this will allow you to change from one folder into another folder. So let's say currently I'm in CS124H. I want to go into folder 1. How I would do this is just do CD folder 1. And as you can see, now I'm inside of folder 1. And if I print the contents of it, I have folder 3 inside of folder 1. However, if you are inside folder 1 and you're trying to go to folder 2, you cannot just type CD and then folder 2 because there is no folder 2 inside of folder 1. So what you would have to do is CD, you would do these two. These two dots just mean that you're going to go to one up. So one up from folder 1 is CS124H. Now I'm in CS124H. If I do CD folder 2, it's a success because folder 2 is inside of CS124H. And just continuing off of that, if you type CD and then start kind of the path, which is this thing, with a slash, you will use the absolute path, which means that you'll go from your home directory rather than the directory that you're in. So as you can see, like if I go back inside and then I go to CD folder 1, I'm unable to do folder 2 because folder 2 is not inside of folder 1. However, if I do this, there we go, that's where I'm currently at, and I do CD this whole path, and then I go into folder 2 because folder 2 is inside of CS124H, it will work because I'm going from the home directory, which is slash, and then going from there. Cool, just gonna clear this up to kind of make it look cleaner. The next one is ls, and this will list all the files or directories inside of the current directory. I'm just going to go back to CS124H, and now I'm going to do ls. So what is in CS124H? Well, there's folder 1 and folder 2. If I go into folder 1, and I print out the contents, you'll see that folder 3 is in folder 1. So this is just to like remind yourself where you're at, or sort of like what files are in where you are at, like then. Some other parallels that I'm going to do are sort of like the OR and ANDs that you may have learned inside of CS124. The first one is the OR logical operator, and you can use this inside of Bash too, except it's kind of for like a different purpose. So just gonna clear this. And what it does is that you can actually write multiple commands one on top of another. So once it will execute one command, it'll go to the next command, and etc. And even if the one before, so let's say like command 1 fails, it will still run command 2. So let's say I am in folder 1 and I try to go into folder 2, which is illegal. I can do CD folder 2 and then OR echo hello world. You'll see that although this command failed, it will execute the next one, so hello world. And this is a little bit different than the and operator. What this will do is that if a command fails, it would just stop where it's at. So if I do CD folder 2, echo, and then hello world, you'll see that echo hello world does not get executed because CD folder 2 is illegal. So that's kind of a difference between the OR operator and the AND operator. I'm just going to clear that up. All right, question time. So just feel free to pause the video and answer it, and then or I will explain in a few seconds. So the question is, what would the command cd folder 2 do if in the current file structure? So let's say that I'm inside of folder 1 and I'm trying to get to folder 2 and I type in this command. So what would it do then? Okay, so what it will do is report an error because there is no folder 2 inside of folder 1, and so I cannot just jump directly there unless I use the absolute path. Okay, cool. So now we're going to go over sort of like removing or creating new directories or files. The first one is to delete a file permanently. So what I'm going to do is go into folder 3. And if I print out the contents, you'll see that there is hi.txt there. So then if I want to delete this file permanently, and I mean permanently, so like it won't put this in the trash, you will never be able to get it back, I can just do remove hi.txt. And if I print out the contents, there is no more contents because I deleted that text file. Just make sure that you want to like actually delete that file. So just a graphic, like visualizing this, you're just going to delete hi.txt. Next one is to make a directory or a folder. This will make a new empty directory. Let's say I wanted to make a folder 4 inside of folder 3, like many folders. What I can do is make directory folder 4. If I list the contents, you'll see that I created this new folder. Remove directory is to remove an empty directory. So since folder 4 was just created and doesn't have anything in it, it will allow me to do this. As always, just a reminder that if you delete something, just make sure you actually want to delete it. If I do that, I list the contents, it is no longer there. Just another visualization. Okay, and then now we're going to move on to sort of like dealing with files and stuff like that. The first command is move mv. And there are two purposes. So the first one is to rename a file, and the second one is to move the file to a new location. First one is to rename a file. So to rename a file, you would just follow this format. You would do the original file name and then the next file name. So let's say you will learn more about this command later, but if I have a text file inside of folder 4 and I did move hi.txt, and then I want to do like another name, so new name.txt. If I print out the contents, you'll see that hi.txt is no longer there. It was instead the contents moved to a new file called new name.txt, and the original hi.txt was deleted. So it's just a way to kind of like rename it. Second purpose is to move a file to a new location. So let's say that I'm just gonna make another directory. Let's make directory like folder 5 inside of folder 3. Wait, hold on. I'm just gonna list the contents. Okay, yeah. So let's make a new folder, maybe folder 4 because we deleted that before. And I wanted to move new name.txt from this folder into folder 4. So how I would do that is do mv and then new name.txt and then the place you want to put it in. So in this case, I want to put it into folder 4. There we go. If I print out, I only have folder 4 left. And if I go into folder 4 and then ls, I'll see that it got moved to this location. CP is sort of very similar to mv, except that instead of deleting the original file, it's actually just going to keep the original. So let's say I wanted to do cp new name.txt to copy.txt, and I printed it out, you'll see that it does not delete the original one. So new name does not get deleted. If you did mv, then it would get deleted. Okay, this is looking a little messy, so I'm going to clear. And to kind of learn more about commands, you can do this command. It's called manual. And if I wanted to learn more about maybe what ls did, for example, I can just do man and then ls, the name of the command. And there we go. Bash actually gives you a bit of documentation, and we will go over what these mean later, but this is kind of what it does. And to kind of exit this view, you just have to write Q and it will exit. Sudo is something that you might encounter later on. Sometimes when we do commands, it won't give us, or we won't have like the privilege to do the command. And if that's the case, then most of the time just put sudo before your command. So if, I don't know, ls for some reason was not working, I would do sudo ls, and most of the time it will work. But also with great power comes great responsibility. So just make sure that you're not really messing with stuff, because if something kind of requires privileges, it means that it will have the potential to really mess with your computer. So you just have to make sure that you're not going to do so. Okay, second question time. So what would the command cd folder and then the to logical operator or echo hello world do? And just take a few seconds, pause the video, and then we will go through it. Okay, so what would happen is that hello world gets executed, and I should have explained this better, I feel like, but this command would be a success, this would be a fail, and then this one would be a success. So since cd folder 1 is considered a fail, then it will just move on to the second command. It won't not do echo hello world because it's the or operator. If it's the and, then it will not do hello echo worlds. So some tips and tricks relating to bash, just gonna clear. Number one is what I did is that if like it's getting very cluttered, you can just write clear, enter, and then it will clear. And then some other tricks is that you can use the tab key to autocomplete. So let's say, I'm just gonna go back to there, CS124H, and print out the contents. What if I wanted to go into folder 1? Or actually, that's not a very good demonstration. I'm going to remove folder 2 for this demonstration for purposes. There we go. ls, if I wanted to do cd folder 1, but I didn't want to type out the entire thing, I can just do tab. It will auto-complete it for me. And the reason why I deleted folder 2 is because it has the same prefix. So it would still not know which folder you're trying to talk about. But this is if you have, or you're trying to go to something and you've typed in enough for there to be a unique prefix. Another thing you can do is just sort of like scroll up and down like your history of commands. If I press the up button, I can just see the list of commands that I've done in the past. It's sort of like an undo, redo sort of situation. Just kind of scroll through like the different commands that you've done. Control C will end the current process in server or slash like server, and the terminal will like see this in action later, and the command exclamation point will bring up the previous command. So if I did ls and then I did exclamation point, you'll see that there's the command and then the results of that command. So we're going to be talking about flags next, and flags are sort of, you can kind of think of them as kind of like extra, like they enable extra features for that command. Inside of a function, you have arguments. This is kind of the same concept. And what you can do is actually just do man ls. And if you scroll down, these are actually all flags. So they tell ls to do different things based on which kind of flag you are putting in. And some common ones that are really nice to know is number one, this one. This will list all the hidden files inside of your directory. And if I do that, if I do ls-a, you'll see that there is not only folder 3, but these are the hidden files. And they all start with like a dot. And this is something that you won't be able to see using your regular graphical user interface. So this is something that Bash allows you to do. Another one is to delete a file directory. This command just deletes an empty directory and won't let you delete it if there's something in it. If you still want to delete that directory, you have to type in rmrf, and this command is very powerful because it deletes literally everything inside of that folder, so just make sure that you don't want to delete everything. Cool. Okay, so before, just gonna clear. Next we're going to talk about text editors, and this is a way that you can edit text files on Bash. First thing we're going to learn is how to create a new text file or just a file in general. And to do this, you're going to use the command touch. So if I wanted to create an HTML file, I can just do like touch HTML, index.html. it's going to create an HTML file for you right there. If I wanted to do hi.txt just to create a new file like that, I could do touch hi.txt ls, and there we go. We got a new file. So it will make a file, and then the type of the file will depend on what kind of extension you give it. So I gave it an HTML extension and then a text extension. Cat will help you display the contents of the file. I will demonstrate this in a bit. And we're going to be going more into text editors. So this is how we edit files on Bash. And there are 3 kind of text editors that you can work with. Number 1's Vim, Emacs, and Nano. Vim is the one I like to use the most. And to do this, I'm just going to do a quick demo. If I wanted to edit what was inside hi.txt, I could do vim hi.txt, and this view will like pull up, and I can start typing in it. And if I do, you hear this kind of sound that's like, no, you can't type in this. This is because I am inside of the command mode, which is kind of like where I can move the cursor and everything. So in order to be able to even like type anything inside the file, you have to go into this insert mode. And to do this, just press I. There we go. Now it says insert, and I can type some stuff inside this text file. So like, hi, this is some text I'm putting in here. Stuff like that. Cool. And then to save and quit, I just have to exit the insert mode. To do this, I just press the escape button, then I do colon, and then there are different sort of things. So if you don't want to save what you just wrote, just type Q. I want to save what I did, so I'm going to do WQ return, and then if I display the file, which is what cat is, cat.txt, you'll see that it prints out the contents of that file. So this is what I just wrote. So it's pretty neat. You can also do the same thing with Emacs. It's just a little bit of a different process, and I'm not going to go over it in this lecture, but feel free to just Google it up and then see what it does. And then for Nano, this is the one that has the smallest learning curve. To do this, instead of just doing vim hi.txt, you can just do nano hi.txt, and then all the commands will be there for you in order to kind of navigate it and use it. So some cool things to end today's lecture. Number 1 is that you can actually generate the matrix on Bash. And to do this, you have to first download Homebrew. And I've already downloaded this, so I'll give you some time to download it. Feel free to just pause the video. The second thing is to run brew install cmatrix. So I've already done this too, but you can just do brew install cmatrix. Into the command, it will install some things, as you can see here. Great, okay, it's installed, and then now we just have to run cmatrix on the terminal. So cmatrix, and there you go. You can finally look like the superhero person that you are today, like those hackers you see in movies. Kind of makes you feel cool for a little bit. And then to end this, just remember to do Control-C, and it will end that process. Other cool things is that right now I have kind of a boring black grayish, I don't know what this is, background, but you can actually turn it pink, you can turn it blue, you can turn it whatever color you want. Just follow this link to learn more about what goes on like behind the scenes. You can also click on this link. It's going to talk about like the bashrc file and then the bash profile. And then aliasing is something else that you can look at if you have the time. And as always, like Stack Overflow is your best friend. It is my best friend. It is very reliable. If you have any issues, then you can just go on there. It can also just be like a quick Google search, and you'll be able to find out what is going on. And that's all for today's lecture. Or for tuning in, and just make sure to check out the Prairie Learn for the new homework, and sign up for office hours or go to office hours if you ever need help. But yeah,